All right. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Sunday Messages. We are talking about inspired action today. This is something that's been on my mind a lot, mostly because I've been taking a ton of action. Like, obviously, the fact that I'm giving you a podcast like every day, that's completely insane. This was not planned. This was not scheduled. I'm just taking action when I'm inspired to speak. And I think there's a lot of confusion for people around what's inspired action, what is forcing, what is misalignment, and what is I'm being guided to stop. And teasing those things apart really does require a lot of practice. In all honesty, like there's no way to just have the answer. You do have to experiment with what happens when you take action on this thing, what happens when you procrastinate on that. And so you being able to feel into how things go after you follow the impulse or deny the impulse is really how you live the life experience and get the data so that you know how it feels for yourself. So that part is something that I can't do that part for you. And that's something you have to experience for yourself. However, what I am noticing for people is that it's really when we're talking about getting clear on the type of actions that move something forward, it really has to do with pain and pleasure. That is unfortunately what drives people. And so working out, exercise, diet, treating your body well, that's a really great common example that I can pull from right now. So I'm just going to use that as an example. If your vision for your physical well-being is not strong enough for you to start modifying your decisions or moving your body or whatever, then more than likely you're not going to do it. If the vision isn't strong and if the immediate gratification of whatever is going on in your life right now, if that's just easier, more than likely you're just going to lean into that. Right? So this is where the eating habits are going to stay the same, the movement activity levels going to stay the same. Nothing's really going to change. So your vision and your desires have to be big enough and they have to be potent enough for you to actually feel satisfaction in moving in the direction of them. And if you don't have that, then usually people backslide into the opposite direction. So then what it'll look like is I'm in so much pain now that I have no choice but to move in the direction of making different choices. So the thing is, we don't have to get to the point where we experience pain, but a lot of the time people can't really feel into the guidance until there's a pain point present. So let me give you another common example of this. I was talking with one of my clients in Grace recently, and we were talking about her job situation. She wants a new job. Okay, great. But she was experiencing resistance around writing a cover page. And, fixing up her resume and like that piece of the puzzle that is going to help her apply to the kinds of jobs that she wants. And I asked, is the pain of being at this job greater than the pain of writing the cover letter? Because at a certain point, that is what you're weighing. You're weighing the level of discomfort that you're experiencing. And so when you have a desire that you're denying, when you have a vision of the future and things that would be really satisfying for you to experience, and you're not moving in the direction of them, that is painful. that's where the sensation of pain and the experience of pain comes from, is I'm not moving in the direction that my soul is calling me to. And we talk about this a lot. When you deny where your soul is going, when you contradict that, it creates tension, it creates pain. So all the fear-based thoughts, doubt, frustration, agony, physical pain is about contradiction and tension. So here's the thing that I see all the time, and yes, I'm going to talk about numbing once again in this episode, is we've got desires. We have things that we want to manifest. We have experiences that we want to have. We know what we want very, very clearly. And so maybe there are things in your day-to-day experience that you could be doing in order to move in that direction. However, the brain and the body and the level of momentum or whatever is going on in life usually has people orienting towards numbing behaviors and numbing activities. TV, social media, over consuming, shopping, blah, 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 blah. Smoking weed all day, whatever. There's all of these different ways that people will dull their sensitivity to that pain and pleasure. And if you're dulling your sensitivity to pain and pleasure, then you're not going to know where to go. It throws your compass off completely. And so if you're in this suspended point where you can't feel your guidance, you can't feel what you're really being called to because you're suppressing it and numbing it, this leads to the tension growing to the point where it's like you're asking for greater levels of pain to occur so that you can actually start seeing what's going on. And this is why after a long period of time, people will be in this like malaise energy or boredom or feeling like nothing is going to happen, all that stuff. And then all of a sudden they end up manifesting a crisis because they haven't been sensitive to the energetic shift that they've been needing to make this entire time. So they've been getting signals and information like, hey, go this way, make this change, do this, do that. Your soul is calling you the entire time. And if you've been ignoring it, you're going to get to a point where everything that you've ignored comes to a head. And now you're dealing with a crisis to push you in the direction that you wanted to go all along. And this is why a lot of people have the experience of like, oh, this tragedy happened and then it spit me out on the other side. And now things are better than ever. It's not a coincidence. That's energetically accurate. But a lot of the time, people are not sensitive enough to their compass, so they end up needing like a fire lit under their ass. You know what I mean? Like that ends up being what people are pushing themselves to, or numbing themselves to the point where that's the experience they end up having. And then they wonder why they're in a crisis. Well, you're in a crisis because you've been numbing your sensitivity. You've been dulling your compass. So you haven't been listening to the impulses that you've been receiving the entire time. You're not moving in the direction of what you really want. And then you're confused why you get smacked in the face in order to put you on the path that you've wanted this entire time. That's how this energetically is constructed. And the thing is, you don't need to have that level of drama. That's optional. You getting to the point where things are so painful and there's so much tension, you have no point but to do the thing. It does not need to be that dramatic. Ever. You can absolutely be more sensitive and more in tune with your impulses and what you're being called to, and kind of listening moment to moment. And it's subtle in the beginning, right? As you're flexing the muscle, it might be a little bit softer, a little bit more gentle, but the information is always there. And so this is just why I'm constantly telling people you need to consumption fast. At least once, try consumption fast. Just do it. Try it out. See what happens when you don't give yourself the opportunity to numb your sensations. If you're feeling bored, you need to experience that boredom because there's something on the other side of it, relatively speaking. On the other side of boredom, there's interest and curiosity and wonder. But you have to be able to decipher what the sensation is communicating to you and where it's pointing you. That's your work. So when it comes to taking inspired action, it's about having that sensitivity to what am I moving toward? So if you have a very clear vision, like let's say you're an athlete and there's a certain level of mastery that you want to have over your physical body, and there's a certain type of experience that you want to have, there's a certain level of the game that you want to be playing, and there's all of these things that you want to physically experience for yourself in this lifetime, and you know that the path to getting there and the manifestation of that experience is going to require you to swing the bat thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And that experience is going to require you to get out on the field and spend time in the gym and condition yourself and do all of that and get to the point where these things are just second nature to you. But your vision has to be dominant. Your vision has to be bigger than the complacency that you're experiencing. And a lot of people aren't in tune with that because the perception is, well, there's nothing I can do about it right now. If I can't have immediate gratification of the whole enchilada right this moment, then I shouldn't even move in the direction of it. The piece that is missing, though, is that if you just take a micro step in the direction of it, you will feel good. It will bring satisfaction. You will enjoy the process. In the same way, it's like, if you're an artist, let's say you want to paint, let's say you really want to get better at that craft. When you sit down and get the reps in, so to speak, and you sit at the canvas and you practice that day, and you discover something new, or you play with colors in a new way, or you like this texture that you found and you make some new discoveries, that eruption of discovery that's happening within you is life-giving. But your vision for what you want has to be there. Your vision has to be bigger, and you have to trust that moving in the direction of the vision is going to be satisfying, and that it's going to bring you pleasure, and that it's all part of the unfolding. And so a lot of the time, it's like action is part of how you collapse the time and space in between where you are and where you want to be, because of the fulfillment of movement. Moving in the direction of it is fulfilling, that is satisfying. And so this is why people have kind of found themselves in a trap around the conversation of manifestation, is like, I should be able to sit on a meditation pillow and receive it. And you can, technically speaking. Okay, here's the other piece. Your mindset, your belief should be, I can sit and do nothing and receive this. Okay, that's just a good default thought form to be playing with. And that's actually one of my beliefs, is like, even if I did nothing, I would still receive my desire. Okay, that's just for my mindset. That is not actually a good life plan. Because sitting on a meditation cushion all day, it's gonna get stale, it's gonna get boring, you're not gonna like it. You know, in the same way, if you want to feel vital and alive and strong and vibrant and healthy and just have like a powerful body, if that's something that you want, sitting around, being in stagnation, not moving yourself, like all of that is not going to feel satisfying for your being if the vision for yourself is something that is completely different. So your actions do not need to result in something popping right away, but it is important to understand that it creates an energetic bridge for things to unfold. And it's something that can just reinvigorate your life. And so my encouragement to all of you is stop numbing. Stop numbing. And if your vision and moving in the direction of your vision is not potent enough for you to stop numbing, then you can anticipate pain. That's just technically what is going to happen. If your desire is not going to let you go. Once it's there, it's there. It's not like you can forget that the desire exists. You can't unwant things. Desires can evolve and shift and they can look differently, but the core essence of the desire is not something that will ever die once you have it. And so it's like you either walk voluntarily or you get shoved. You're either moving at will. You're saying, okay, I am going to move in this direction. I'm going to find satisfaction in the movement towards it. And that's it. And it's a much smoother ride that way. Or you ignore it, ignore it, ignore it, ignore it, ignore it, ignore it. More attention, more attention, more attention, more attention, more attention, more attention. And then it's all going to come to a head. And then it is a really uncomfortable ride. So in tarot, that's what happens with the tower card. If you have the tower pop up, the reason why that's a part of the tarot archetypes is because many of us have that habit of waiting, or sometimes it's, I'm not understanding, I'm not interpreting my guidance clearly enough because I'm not in practice with it. And then as a result, I have that tower moment, everything blows up, everything comes to, everything crashes, whatever. And then I'm able to pivot and move in the direction of what I want. That is merely a consequence of not trusting where you're being called or numbing. I will not shut up about numbing because it's the number one problem that people are having. It's the number one delayer of manifestations. It is the number one culprit of you having a boring fucking life. It's a problem. And so you have to pick, is your vision sharp? Is your vision clear? When is the last time you actually sat and you really thought about what you wanted to cultivate in this lifetime? Like really, really, and then looked at yourself relative to what your desires are. And then are you making micro movements in that direction? When is the last time you sat with yourself and really unpacked that? How often are you tuning into your vision? How often are you connecting with it? How often are you thinking about it? How often are you daydreaming about it? How often is it filling you with joy? And if the answer is no, I haven't been paying attention to it because I'm captivated by fucking media or substances or shopping or whatever, pick your poison, then it's it's just going to result in more tension on your hand. So the other thing, I'm going to be telling this story more in depth in upcoming modules of Money Magic, what happened with my last house. And I think I spoke about it. I know I wrote some really long posts on Instagram a while ago about, like, I was having this weird reaction to being in my last house where I bought a bunch of furniture and then I canceled everything. Or I really, really, really did not want to furnish the house. Or instead of actually setting up the movie room, it's like I was laying on an air mattress because I did not want to purchase anything for the home. It was weird. And then I wasn't able to understand what it was communicating to me. And so the tension kept growing and kept growing and kept growing. And I didn't really know how to interpret it. And I didn't know what my next move was going to be. And so then it resulted in a painful experience, right? It resulted in more anxiety, more fear, more pain, because I wasn't really in tune with what my desire really was. And then, of course, like, well, the happily ever after, the other side of that experience is I live at the freaking beach now. I have a wonderful place. It's the perfect size. It's the perfect location. It has everything that I wanted. I like checked every box. And so, of course, the outcome ultimately was good. But in hindsight, there was always that information that was coming to me, and I didn't really know how to make sense of it. So I needed it to get clearer. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having an experience of greater tension. So this isn't to make it wrong. It's just that you want to take the information and stay connected to your vision. And the other thing that I should add here is that your vision has got to be greater than, the temptations that you have around. It's got to be greater than the satisfaction that you get from scrolling. So I worked out earlier today, meditated, like I did a bunch of stuff. And I was thinking about like, what is motivating me to do this, or what is really driving me to do these things without fighting myself? Because I hear a lot of people talking about, doing things for themselves feels like pulling teeth. And I don't have that experience. And I was really sitting with myself and asking why. And I realized it has to do with my desire. My desire to feel good in my body is greater than my desire to numb. It's actually more pleasurable than numbing. Or when I'm going into meditation, the satisfaction that I feel staying connected, or when I'm in prayer, the satisfaction that comes from staying connected to God is so much greater than numbing and, muting my sensations. And so this is why I go on and on about pleasure as well. Pleasure is important, not from like a purely gratuitous, overindulgent, because pleasure can be one of those things that you get so wrapped up in that it does end up becoming numbing, right? Like drug addiction, for example. We can argue about whether or not that's genuine pleasure, but whatever, I digress. The bottom line is the fulfillment factor. Let's not call it pleasure, let's call it fulfillment. So doing something like in the example of working out is actually more fulfilling than other activities that might dull my sensitivities. Right? But it's all relative, because I know that the pain of not moving my body, that is not good for me. If I don't work out for a long time, if I'm not stretching, if I'm not taking care of myself, I get headaches every day. My body will like get really irritated and annoyed. It'll be like, hello, you're not circulating energy over here. Will you pay attention to me? And so that's what I mean by, if you're not moving, if you're not driven by desire, if you're not driven by the vision, you're going to be driven by pain. One of those things is going to be pushing you at all times. So you have more influence over this than you are giving yourself credit for, more than likely. And Of course, one of the big reasons why this has been coming to mind, and as I've been launching Big Kid School, I've been planning it, I've been thinking about, what we're going to be doing every week. And it's interesting because what I'm realizing is the fulfillment factor of, and we talked about this on the You Are a Mountain Climber episode, like casting your vision, casting your intention a little bit closer to you, and then moving in the direction of it. All of that movement that you're making is the thing. Like, that is the trick. That is where all the satisfaction comes in. That's where you end up experience holistically a good life, is through casting, moving in the direction of it, casting your vision, casting your creation, moving in the direction of it. And so this is like, what I've found is that Big Kid School is like anti-numbing. Like, no. We want your experience each and every week to be something that is so pleasurable and so fun, and you're looking forward to it so deeply that you want to move in the direction of it. You want to bring it to life. So you're not going to fall back into numbing behaviors, because the thing that you have planned for yourself this week is bigger. The vision is bigger. The satisfaction that you get from actually making this thing happen, that is going to bring you joy. That's going to feel fulfilling. That's going to check all the boxes. That's going to make you sleep soundly at night, because you know that you had a really satisfying full day. It was like full in all the right ways, because you chose, because you're connected to your desires and your vision and your life experience and your lifestyle and what you want to be doing. This is entirely up to you. But you can't have that richness and satisfaction in life if numbing is the first choice. And so what I've found is that people have not found a way to really flex the muscle of identifying what is more satisfying than numbing. What is going to give me a greater life experience that is not going to even compare to numbing. And people have really fallen out of staying connected to that consistently. And so I really want to bring this back for people, is like, you can absolutely do this. You need a little bit of intentionality and a little bit of structure and some commitment, right? Put some skin in the game for this, and you can absolutely bring this to life. There is no reason why the entire fucking planet, the entire world of everything that exists on planet Earth, why you should be more tempted by things that dull your sensitivities and that numb you relative to everything else that exists on Earth. There is no reason for that. None. So we've got to put the numbing to bed. No more. Because it is resulting and compounding in dissatisfying life experiences, and that's not how life is supposed to be, period. None of you are supposed to be waiting eternally. The planet Earth is not a purgatory, okay? You are not in manifestation purgatory. The problem is the lack of staying connected to a vision, the lack of casting the vision, and the movement in the direction of it. And so if you're asking yourself, like, why am I not moving? It's because you haven't identified what is the point that I am moving toward intentionally. And as I mentioned, the client that I was working with in Graced earlier, who was talking about the cover letter and the resistance around that. And I said, if your dream job popped up right now, you would run to go write that cover letter. There would be no resistance, because your desire, your vision, the yes, this is it, this feels really good, that would be so alive that it would override any resistance that you had to anything else. The thing is, we can create that at will. So we can find things that start summoning that from you, and we can connect to that on a more consistent and regular basis. So anyway, go get in big kid school. Go get in big kid school, particularly if you're feeling like you want to experience the richness of life. Like if you want a rich, full, satisfying, like I want to connect to my deep desires and I want to move in the direction of them every week. And I want to be able to look back on this summer and be like, holy shit, I did so much. I cannot believe all the new places I discovered. I cannot believe all the people I met, the experiences that I had, the books I read, the fun I had, the conversations that were had, that like enough with the boredom and the numbing. No more. No more. It's a new era. It is time to live life in full color. That should have been the tagline. Live life in full color. Bye. Okay, so that is all that I have for you today. The links in my bio, the links in the description box. You know the drill, show notes, wherever you're listening to this. I hope this helped you. If you know someone who needs to hear this, please send it to them. I would greatly appreciate it, and I'm sure they would as well. And I will talk to you all next time. Bye.